and I realized that people have a lot of difficulty with the matrix hierarchy. It's very easy to confuse um, a boss, which means the person that hires and fires, with the person that will give you your daily scope of work.
A CTO and a CPO is just one area, it's just one team. It's the product development team. There is no product team and technology team or product team and engineering. It's only one team.
Hello, welcome back to Products Brazilian Way, and this is the third season of Product Chronicles. I'm Fabio Duarte.
And I'm Joca Torres. In this season, we are diving into the experiences of Brazilian product professionals who've built products outside Brazil or brought global perspectives to the local product scene.
So this is the podcast with an accent, and today I'm interviewing my co-host. We have already a previous episode where Joca he interviewed me about my international experience. Right now I'm back in Brazil, but I'm working for a few companies abroad, and but let's turn this around a little bit, and I'm going to be asking Joca about his experience and the way that he perceives the Brazilian scene in product management, which we both feel that it's very vibrant and interesting, and might have a few peculiar and special flavors that we hope to promote a little bit on this episode and explain a little bit in Joca's vision. So, Joca, you're one of the most experienced product people in Brazil. You have a pretty interesting journey. You co-founded one of the main internet providers way back when the internet was beginning in the 90s here, and since then you led several startups like Local Web, Contazo, Gympass that became WellHub. Now it is an international company, and Lopes, which is a very traditional but huge building enterprise. So can you tell us how you ended up in product? Because none of us ever studied anything like that in university, right? It's a career that finds you. So how did that find you?
Yeah, exactly. It found me. I guess I even wrote about this some time ago. I guess when I started as an entrepreneur in the very beginning of my career, because I was graduated in computer engineering, and right after college, I went to found one of the first internet service providers here in Brazil, and I was the CTO back then. I was the technical part of the founders. And but as I was one of the founders, one of the owners of the company, I was always concerned of how can we make money out of tech. That's the main point, because it's not only about the technology per se. It's not only playing with technology, but we need to make technology generate something. And how is it possible for technology to generate something? By solving customer problems. So I believe I was very fortunate to be in this position and have to be concerned about creating solutions, software. Back then we didn't call it product, but solutions or softwares or whatever that actually solved people's problems in the same time that it generated some revenue. So I believe as a CTO and founder of my own company, I had to have this mindset. It was unavoidable. I needed to have this mindset. I needed to be concerned in creating solutions that eventually become known as product that actually solve customer problems and generated some type of results to the company. That's simple, actually. A few years later, I realized that this position was called product. We sold the company back in 1998 to a company in the US called Via Networks. And this company was acquiring internet service providers in different locations around the globe. and then I started to have my first international experience, and I migrated from being the CTO of the local operation for Brazil to having a global position serving under the marketing department, actually reporting directly to the CMO or VP of marketing back then. And the position was product director. Product director, that's interesting. And what do I need to do? And basically, what the VP of marketing asked me, my main mission in that position is to create a common portfolio of products from the different companies that they were acquiring. So my mission was to create this product portfolio. Today, I understand this is more towards product marketing than product management, but that was my first understanding of product management, or a part of product management, and it was quite interesting. And actually, it was also the first international experience that I had, because I had to deal with people from the Dutch, people from the Netherlands, people from Germany, people from Spain, people from Mexico, people from Argentina, Americans. So it was very, very interesting.
There's something you mentioned about being formerly a CTO. So, what if, what would you say that every CTO right now, nowadays, they should know that you only learned when you became a CPO, and you wish you know that you knew before? Because I'm asking this because sometimes I realize that there's a little bit of a push, you know, between CPOs and CTOs in certain companies, and it feels like they're not aligned in the same interests somehow, which is always puzzling, right? Because they're pretty much rowing the same boats in the same direction. But so I always wonder why those conflicts appear if you experience something like that, and how do you think that you could conciliate, you know, what a CTO thinks that they should be doing with what the CPO should be doing?
Yeah, that's actually a very good question. This is something I normally talk about when I'm talking to my clients. Even though there is a CTO and a CPO, it's just one area, it's just one team. It's the product development team. There is no product team and technology team, or product team and engineering. It's only one team. It happens to have two heads or two leaders, but it is only one team. And this is very important for people to understand, because it is impossible to build a product only with engineering, only with design, only with product management. We need the three roles, the three functions to be together, working together in order to create the best products. During my entire career, I had this, people call it CPTO, Chief Product and Technology Officer, leading both areas at the same time. It's possible. It has some drawbacks, but it's possible. But when I joined Gympass, it was the first time that the opportunity that arose was to be only a CPO, because at Gympass back in 2018, we were understanding already that we're going to be big. We're going to have a huge product development team. So they were hiring a CPO and a CTO. And for this reason, the offer that they made for me is to be only the CPO. And I said, okay, I have never worked like this before, because at Local Web, Conta Azul, my own company, I was always using both hats at the same time. But at Gympass, because Gympass back then was already a company, an international company coming from Brazil, but already in some countries in Europe, some countries in Latin America, and with building a strong presence in the US. And I said, oh, this will be a very interesting journey. I will certainly learn. We were even talking about this prior to joining. Whenever we decided to join a company, one of the for me at least, and I believe for you too, one of the main prerequisites is that we will be able to learn a lot right? So that's why I decided to join Gympass. I realized that I would be able to learn a lot with that. It was scaling up very rapidly, and it was already international. A Brazilian company conquering, so to speak, the world, different from my previous international experience where I was in an American company acquiring companies in Brazil, including my own company. This in Gympass was a different experience. So I decided to accept the offer and be only the CPO. But there was two things that I mentioned to Cesar, the founder that made the offer. I said, okay, I'm on because I'm in because this is a very interesting opportunity. But there are two things that we need to take into consideration. The first one that is, I would love to participate in the hiring process of the CTO to guarantee that we are somehow aligned, we think somehow in the same way, we have the same understanding of how to build a product development team. And the second thing is that there is no engineering and product team. It's only one team, and we will call it the product development team. The product development team comprises product managers, product designers, and engineers. There are no teams. So there won't be two separate budgets. There won't be two separate areas. There won't be two separate cost centers. It will be only one with one cost center, one area with two leaders.
Yeah, that that made me remember certain instances where I was trying to explain that, and and I realized that people have a lot of difficulty with the matrix hierarchy. You know, it's very easy to confuse um, a boss, which means the person that hires and fires, with the person that will give you your daily scope of work. And if you do it in a matricial way, those two people are different people. You know, so
Yeah.
the boss is not the person who's going to tell you exactly what you're going to do. That comes from, you know, project. Could come from a product manager, could come from a product owner, and so on and so forth. And the boss is not going to tell the engineers what they have to do each day, but rather check their skills, right? Make sure that they are up to the task. And and I don't know. Sometimes I feel that people still didn't get it. I don't know. What do you feel about that?
Yeah, that's the matrix organization is quite puzzling for many people. I mean, there are many people that still don't understand, especially more traditional HRs or people that are used to the hierarchical way of working. One area, like one type of role, one specific role, and it is a bit challenging for uh, some some organizations or some specific areas. Um, what I remember in some instances trying to explain this to the HR that it's a matrix organization. It's quite puzzling. They take some time to understand it. But after some time, they realize what's happening, that we have a cross-functional team. And this cross-functional team, they work together towards one common objectives. This is very important. Uh, Actually, this is something that I've constantly repeat about cross-functional teams. One of the main mistakes of cross-functional teams is setting different objectives for each role that you have in each cross-functional team. So, for instance, product managers, they have this particular objective, more focus on business. User designers, they are more focused on the experience of the product, and engineers, they are focused only on the code, on the software that needs to be built. And that's the wrong way, because if we do that, what we're gonna have is three people or three roles, even more people, but three roles that say they are in a team, but each one rowing in a different direction. Imagine a boat, and each one is rowing in a different direction. The boat will not move. But if you are able to set a common objective for the entire team, no matter if it's more business related or more user related or more engineering related, but it's the whole team objective, then the row will be the boat, sorry, will be rowing on the same direction. This is critical. This is, I like to use this analogy of rowing in a boat, because if people in a boat are rowing whatever direction they want, the boat won't move from its place. If the people know we need to row in that direction, then the boat will move. It's that simple. It's the same with a cross-functional team. This is the main mistake that I normally see when managing a cross-functional team, more than the hierarchical things that happens and the organization and all of that. More than that, the most common mistake that people make is not setting or setting role specific objectives. In order to make a cross-functional team work, you need to set, you need to put aside role-specific objectives, and you need to set common objectives for the 3, 4, 5 roles that you include in a cross-functional team.
So, for example, if you're working with OKRs, you would put like the same OKRs for all of the team, like designers and engineers and QA and the PM.
Exactly.
They should share a few common OKRs, right?
Exactly.
So, your latest book is about digital transformation. I know that you work as a consultant with that a lot in lots of companies. Is that one of the topics that you feel that it's mandatory? Like, do you always try to, uh, as part of this digital transformation, is that cross-sectional team something that's mandatory, or do you where do you start, doing things, and is this one of the things that the companies should do?
Yeah. Team organization or team structure, or more common word that people are using nowadays, team topology, is crucial for the success of the product. If you don't tackle this when helping a company, this will probably be an obstacle in being able to achieve results. For instance, when I joined Lopes is this real estate company that we have here in Brazil, one of the biggest real estate companies. They have more than 6,000 agents that help their clients acquire and sell properties. And when I joined them, they were somehow already cross-functional, but they were organized by product. What I mean by product, they had a team focus on the portal where you search for properties. You had a team focusing on the CRM, and another team focusing on the app for the real estate agent. So focus on the product, focus on the system that they were developing.
The
But
functionalities, if you will. Yeah.
exactly. And that's okay if we sell the functionality, if we sell the feature, if we sell the product. But that's not the case with this real estate company. There, what we sell is properties. So what made sense, and this was one of the first things that I did when I joined the company. First, I did a product vision type of work, so understanding what is the company, what are the main actors that we have. We have the buyer, we have the seller, we have the agent. So what's the value that Lopes delivers to all of them? What is the value that they receive from all of them? After making this understanding, this vision, this business vision or product vision, understanding how the company works, the second step that I made was to, okay, so this is the vision, this is how we operate. So the best organization for us is not a product oriented type of organization. It is a user based type of organization. So instead of having a portal, a CRM, and a real estate agent app, we changed the organization to have a team focused on the buyer, another team focused on the seller, and a third team focused on the agent, because those are the three main actors. And the teams, they had autonomy to build whatever product made sense to deliver the value to each of them.
Perfect. So you divided by personas and their own little
Exactly.
problems, right? Their own. I said little, and it sounds a little demeaning, but I meant their
Yeah,
enclosed world of problems that
exactly.
will not probably be the same problems as another persona. And so you identify the most important personas, and their problems and you put teams in charge of solving certain personas problems.
Exactly, exactly. But in certain circumstances, the byproduct makes sense. You organize by product. For instance, it's very common. And when I talk by product, I'm not only meaning digital product. It can be a real product. For instance, this is very common in fintechs, in banks. In banks, you have the banking account team, you have the credit account team, you have the credit card team, you have, but they are financial products, but you have teams organized by financial products. That's not unusual. Another way for you to organize teams is also by journey, by user journey. For instance, at Gympass, what we had a team focused on the HRs, another one focused on users, and a third one focused on gyms. But there were some journeys that happened between those teams, these tribes. For instance, scheduling classes. The gym owner needs to upload or set up the classes, the class agenda that he has, and the user needs to access this agenda and book classes. So it's a journey that happens between two different teams if you organize the team by users. So this topic, team topologies, is really really critical in order to deliver the best products.
Cool. And while doing this, and do you think that are there any cultural traits in Brazil specifically that help companies do this kind of transformation, of mindset, or things that will hinder this transformation?
Yeah, I believe that Brazilians in general, they seem more open to try new things, you know. They like to try out new things. For instance, when Orkut was launched, the Brazilians jumped into Orkut and decided to use it very very quickly. We have here in Brazil, you know that the Pix as a payment method that was created by our central bank and all the banks implemented, and Brazilians are using it a lot. So Brazilians are very willing to try out new things, and if it's a good thing, they adopt. So that's a particular trait from Brazilians that I see some other cultures a bit more cautious, I would say, in trying out new things. That's my perception.
There's one thing that I can comment on, which is funny because I'm working with foreign audiences. People are talking about SMS messaging, which in Brazil, like it's non-existent. Like nobody uses SMS anymore, and it's funny to just realize, that in case any people here are wondering, Brazil adopted WhatsApp en masse. So SMS is unheard of, especially because WhatsApp is cheaper. It's free, right? SMS you have to pay I don't know, a couple of cents per message, and people, especially when there's the financial incentive, people are very very fast to just change the way they do things.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And do you think there's anything in Brazil that will stop people from the transformation, and especially now comparing with other cultures that you had contact with?
Yeah, that's a good question. What in Brazil would prevent or make it difficult? The transformation. Oh, essa é de complicada.
Maybe we can switch that question around. So what do you think
Difficult
that?
one.
How do you think that digital transformation is going on? In countries where you know a little bit better about the scenario. I know that your latest book has been translated to English, and you started a book tour. You've been recently to Europe, right? And you gave a series of speeches in several countries over there. What were your impressions? How well are they faring on that area? What do you think about the countries that you've been in, their product mindsets, and how well they're doing?
Yeah, I've been to a few countries in Europe, presenting the principles of a product culture that helps us to move forward with digital transformation, and it was quite interesting because I received the same type of questions that I receive here in Brazil. For instance, when I talk about delivering early and delivering often, I talk about the very famous phrase from Reid Hoffman. If you're not embarrassed by the first version of your product, it's because you launched too late. And many people normally raise their hands and ask, okay, but I have like 2,000 clients. They are corporate clients. I cannot put something half baked in front of them. That's a very, very common question I received here in Brazil. I received during the presentations in Europe, and yeah, totally agree. And that's why we don't launch to our entire customer base. We select a few to do an alpha test, and like a handful of users, like 2, 3, 4. For instance, at Gympass, we created the Gympass Wellness. That it's a marketplace of apps, and our first version was to be embarrassed, definitely to be embarrassed, because it was a Google Forms, basically a Google Forms with name, company, email, and credit card information, because we were testing willingness to subscribe, and it was really to be embarrassed of. And when we decided to launch back then in 2019 or early 2020, we had already 2,000 corporate clients, and we decided to launch to only 5 in Brazil and 5 in the US, because we wanted to test with those 5 prior to launching to the entire base. So that's one thing, to pick just a handful of clients and to launch them. And another thing that people say is, okay, understand the principles behind a product culture, that we need to deliver early and often, that we need to be focused on the problem, that we should deliver results, and we should have an ecosystem mindset. Those are the 4 principles that I present during this talk. I understand very clearly about this, but I'm in the product development team, and I'm unable to change the company. And what I normally explain to them, I was even talking last week with the people from Volkswagen, the Volkswagen Digital Solutions, people from Germany and
In
Portugal.
Portugal, yeah.
And this question came also, and what I explained to them, and probably pretty soon I'll write an article about it, is that in these situations, because product culture, a culture of a company, you don't change by decree, you change by presenting results. One thing that I explain to people is that the company doesn't want to talk productiz. Productiz is the language of product. MVP, experimentation, hypothesis, all of those words. They don't want to talk. They don't understand. The common language that all companies understand is results. So the first things that you need to do in order to change a culture, to change the way things are done, is delivering results. After you deliver results, you got type of clearance to speak productivities, to speak how you achieve those results. But first, you need to achieve results. First, you need to generate results. And when I talk about results, I'm talking about results both to the client that you are solving a problem and to the company as well.
So nobody argues with money, right?
Exactly, exactly.
If money's
If
coming
if
in,
if if
everybody's
you
happy.
talk the company language, and all companies, they talk results. If you talk about results, sometimes it's money, sometimes it's revenue, sometimes it's cost, sometimes it's revenue minus cost, sometimes it's number of users, sometimes it's engagement, but there is some specific result that the company cares about. So
Somewhere a spreadsheet must have a green line, or else
exactly,
everything else is going to be very hard to push forward, right? So, but
exactly.
why why did you ever decide to take your knowledge outside of Brazil?
Yeah, but my first hypothesis, because I had two previous experience working internationally, even being based in Brazil. The first one is when I sold my company to an American company, and I started to work internationally. I was very naively, I was impressed how different people worked around the globe. Like the Dutch, they are direct to the point. The British, they like. I mean, I know I'm generalizing, so don't take this into. This is not the Dutch in general, but some Dutch that I worked with, they are direct to the point. The British, they like to discuss all possibilities prior to entering in some initiatives. So, and I said, this is interesting. So people work differently, probably because of their cultural background and all of that. And but the problems, they were common. The problems in general, they were common. And then when I joined Gympass, I again had this experience of working internationally, even being based in Brazil. And we started to notice the same issues. We even, this was a company initiative, we even acquired that book called Culture Map. This is a very good book for people that work in international environments. I really recommend it. And we read and we discussed together, because we had these issues of, even in the product development team, we had people from the US, we had people from Europe, and so I understood this. So that's the reason that motivated me to, hey, listen, the problems that I have here in Brazil, the challenges that product development teams have here in Brazil, they are more or less the same around the globe. Maybe people tackle them differently. For instance, this weekend, with nothing more fun to do, I decided to make some research on Google Trends for the product owner and product manager words in different countries. I don't know if you saw it, and the number of openings of product owner and product manager in different countries, and there are difference. Very interesting. So there are some difference that depends on the cultural backgrounds of each company.
Just to illustrate what you're mentioning about PM and POs, I remember that one of the results that you found is that PO, Brazil is by far the country with the most positions open, calling the position a PO and not a PM.
Yeah, yeah. Way more POs openings
Why do you
than
think that
PM
is?
vacancies. I don't know. That's something to. Oh, some people try to say that this is because of the how much adoption of Scrum in Brazil. Some people uh, also said this is something about the digital maturity or product maturity in Brazil. I don't know. Sometimes, and to be completely blunt, sometimes I think it's a money issue, because product owners earn less than product managers, and sometimes some companies decided to open a vacancy as product owner just to pay less, but actually what they want is a product manager with the full scope of a product manager. So yeah, I mean, I really know I need to, but it's interesting because this happens also in the Netherlands and in Germany as well. And I already heard, I've never experienced deeply this, but I've heard that those countries, especially Germany, they are more procedural. They need processes. They work more based on processes. And since product owner is inside the Scrum, and Scrum has this process side, some people from Agile will beat me, but anyway, has this side of processes. So maybe, I don't know, just rambling here, you know.
Yeah, there's a little bit of man. The word manager gets lost in translation, right? Because in Brazil we do have like different words for
Yeah,
management of things and management of people. And in English, it's pretty much the same,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
You're managing the product when you're a product manager, and when you
Exactly.
translate that,
Exactly.
sounds
Mhm.
like you're gonna be the boss of a team. And so
Yeah, yeah.
I've seen people
But
say that that would be
but
the
you
problem.
know, yeah, but I had discussions about this since my local app days that we started to use the product manager term, and uh, and the HR had difficulty. Oh, so it's a product manager, so it's a leader. We should no, it's not a leader. It just manage products. And what I explained to them is that it's exactly the same as a project manager. Project manager just manage projects. They
Yeah,
don't manage people. And the same thing, let's get out of the technology and product team. Let's look into the sales teams. Do you know that the sales team have they have account managers, and what they manage are accounts. They
yeah,
manage clients. And when I talk about this, oh, I understand now. I understand now. So that's maybe one of the causes also. I don't know, but the word manager has it's the same in the US or in Europe.
yeah.
Manager is a manager. Yeah. So
So, and what else do you think that you learn when you're started seeing product around the world, and how how's your view of the Brazilian product ecosystem?
in general, I believe the Brazilians they normally have this. I don't know how to say this in English. In Portuguese, we call the complexo do
Oh
vira-lata.
wow, yeah. I don't think
Yeah,
I'm gonna be able to translate
that's a
that,
tough
but it
one.
sounds a little bit like an
Yeah,
inferiority complex.
yeah, exactly, exactly. Inferiority complex. I don't know if there is a an expression in English. Let me see. There is an expression.
And
Mongrel complex or
that's
mud
just a literal
complex.
translation. Yeah, mom.
Yeah, yeah, it doesn't make any sense. But yeah, we have this complex of inferiority. But what I've seen is that what we've been doing here in Brazil, it's quite a global level. May not be like Silicon Valley level, even though some companies in Brazil, I do believe they are in the same level of some Silicon Valley companies. But in general, I mean, we are okay. Even though there's this difference between product owner and product manager that we just mentioned, but we are okay. We have good companies here, like iFood is a company that's well known for their product culture. Nubank as well is also known by their product culture. And one thing that is important to notice is that even though we talk about product culture, each company has their own product culture. The product culture at Apple is different from Netflix, which is different from Google, which is different from Meta, which is different from Nubank here in Brazil, which is different from iFood, and all of them are creating successful
Very
products. So there is no one way to build good products. There are many different ways. There are some principles behind those ways, different ways of building products, and those principles they are common. Marty Kagan has been trying to explain this, building the product operating model, which is sort of similar to what I've been talking about in terms of product culture. The basic principles are the same, but each company has can do it different, and that's okay. Apple more focused on the user experience, Google more on the engineering side, and so on. So there's no one way to build successful products. There are some common principles, but there is not one way. There is not one recipe that we just adopt, and we're gonna be exactly like the Silicon Valley
So
companies.
what if I'm a company outside of Brazil? Why would I hire a Brazilian product manager? What do they bring to the table?
They are something that we already spoke in the previous episode. They are creative. The Brazilian people in general are quite creative. So they are able to not only help the team find solutions, because this is one of the main responsibilities of a product manager to help the team come up with the product manager the person doesn't come up alone with the solutions. They help the team come up with solutions, because in order to build good solutions, we need designers, we need engineers, we need the tree, the famous trio of the core product team in order to create solutions. But the Brazilian product manager is very creative, and it's not only creative, but is able to uh, incentivize or motivate the creativity of the group. So that's one thing. What else? The Brazilian people in general, they are very social people, so they work very well in groups. Brazilian people are group people by definition, so they are good in working in groups in general. Again, we are generalizing. There are some people different in all cultures, in all countries, but in general, Brazilians are good working in teams. So that's two good reasons. And I believe the third one that we need to talk about is that Brazilian real compared to euros and US dollars are way below. So you can get a very good product manager with salaries that are way below what you would pay for a mid-level product manager in the US or
Yeah, six
in Europe.
digits is pretty much in dollars or in euro is pretty much like no PMs will ever dream of earning six digits a year, right?
Exactly.
Around
Exactly.
60, 70
Exactly.
thousand dollars a year will already get you very, very good professionals, I would say.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, and what about the other way around? What do you think that any Brazilian PM that wants to sell his work abroad, what should they know, and what should they do? What kind of advice would you give?
Yeah. Need to understand the local culture. Need to understand because there are difference, and it's not only translation. It's not only translating the interface, even though the translation per se already presents some difficulty, because a word in Portuguese may become of like a 5 or 7 letter word in Portuguese may become a 15 letter word in German. So there are some difficulties in the translation. But not only that, this is one thing that I learned when I was at Gympass. Even though if you make a translation here in Brazil, having a native of that specific language, we had here in Brazil, we have native speakers of Spanish, of Italian, of English, we have American English. And I remember very vividly one time that we did this translation and prepared the app and sent the app to our companies abroad. And then an employee of Gympass that was already living in New York, living in the US, he went through the translation and said, you know what, the translation is absolutely perfect. It's grammatically correct, the special effects.
Okay,
But whenever
I
I
want
do
to
this,
join. No,
yeah,
it doesn't.
yeah, yeah. Well, it's grammatically correct, but we don't speak like that anymore. We change because language is it's a living being, so to speak. It's constantly evolving, and we need to pay attention. So one thing is to have a local person revising the translation. Um, if you collect money, you need to pay attention of billing and payments solutions, and I mean, for instance, you are working I don't know, an ERP for doctors. So doctor-patient relationship in Brazil works one in a specific way. In the US works in another way. In Europe, in Portugal is different. So you need to understand how how is the problem of the product you are building? How is the problem in the country that you are aiming to take your product to? So that's That's something to pay attention. My advice is to have someone local building the product with you. If you have this is actually what we did at Gympass. We decided to have a local product development team in New York, in our New York offices, and another one in Europe, in Portugal, looking into all Europe, having paying attention to local requirements. Just to give you an example, I remember when I joined Gympass, GDPR was already a huge thing in Europe, and in Brazil we didn't even talk about this. It was not important for us, but if we didn't do anything in the product in order to be able to address GDPR, we would
Yep.
stop selling in Europe. Period. That's simple. So you need to pay attention to local requirements, local culture, how business works, how your problem that you solve with your product happens in that specific culture. So many things to pay attention to.
Okay, nice. Let's go to the quick fire questions, and we will wrap this up. So, when you're abroad, what is a Brazilian dish you always miss?
I guess rice and beans. Rice and beans is something that is good. Even though I don't eat that much here when I am in Brazil, but I do miss, especially the feijoada. You know feijoada.
I'm from Rio de
Feijoada
Janeiro,
is
so
the
yeah,
best.
I know feijoada. I'm very intimate with
Yeah,
feijoada
feijoada. Yeah, feijoada is very good. Feijoada is a dish made out of beans and
and
jerked
pork
beef
fat.
and
Lots of
sausage
pork
is
fat.
yeah it's
It is
really
really
good,
good.
really good. You don't
Oh,
work after. It's
it is
really
something
good.
that all the foreigners should know. You know, in Rio de Janeiro, feijoada was actually invented. We only eat feijoadas on Fridays and Saturdays. And the reason is
Yeah,
because you
yeah,
can't work after. So, and I was puzzled that
very
In
good.
São Paulo, Wednesday is the day for feijoada restaurants, which is really
Yeah,
weird
yeah,
because
yeah. Because the Paulistanos they don't want to work on Wednesday
maybe,
afternoon.
yeah. Okay,
Who
and what's a
knows?
Brazilian habit that, even with all your international experience, that you can't shake and you feel that, oh, that's really Brazilian of me?
Yeah. Uh, Maybe the chit chatting in the beginning of any conversation, you know. It's good to how are you? How are things? How was the weekend? It's even 2 or 3 minutes of this is good to to be a bit closer of the person you're talking
I've
to.
seen
This
people that
is
actually feel that it's rude to not chit chat, right? I'm
yeah,
talking about
yeah,
Brazilians, of
exactly,
course.
exactly.
And so many
Yeah,
foreigners, they don't have that habit, and they will kind of, give that sense that they're being very rude because you didn't ask
yeah,
about
yeah,
your wife or
exactly.
something. Yeah, I see.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and what's one misconception that you feel that people have about Brazilian or Brazilian professionals in general?
That that we all like soccer, maybe.
Not
Because I
everybody
don't.
likes
I
football.
don't.
Okay.
No, no, I don't. I
And
don't.
what do you think? What do you wish more companies would learn from Brazil?
um, I guess this social thing of Brazilians, this help create bonds and consequently help creates. I don't say
A good work
stronger teams,
environment in
but
general.
yeah, a better work environment, more collaborative work environment, maybe. Yeah, I like that. This is something very. It's a good way of working, getting to know more about the person, the chit chat prior the beginning of the
And
meeting.
what
You
about
know.
the other way around? What do you think that Brazilian teams could adopt from some habits that are not Brazilian from other countries?
Sometimes this social thing may may go in our way, so sometimes we need to be more direct to the point. Sometimes we get lost into the chit chatting, and if we were more direct to the point, we need to balance. We need a balance between those two.
Yeah, if I can add something, I can remember instances where people were more worried about not displeasing everybody else in the meeting and being super friendly than actually,
Yeah,
coming to an important decision that we needed, but everybody was kind of being super friendly and not wanting to be
Yeah,
hostile, and that got in the way of work
exactly,
somehow.
exactly.
Okay.
There you go. There you go. Exactly.
So, and to finish this, what's one Brazilian book, movie, series that you feel that reveals something cool about our culture?
Um, I guess the movie
Mm.
I'm Still Here that just won the
Hmm.
international Oscar. A very very good movie. Very very well done in terms of and it has a very interesting story. A part of somewhat dark period of our of our history. The authoritarianism of the military in Brazil. So it's interesting, and you can see in the movie the way that Brazilians are social type of people. They connect with many people. So it shows a little bit of the Brazilian culture and the Brazilian culture being repressed by the government, the military government.
Okay, that's it, Joca. Awesome. Thanks for letting us know your history, and I'm excited to what's coming next. It's a pleasure to talk to you.
My pleasure. And in our next episode, we're gonna bring someone to talk about the
Yeah.
Brazilian way. It will be fun. It will be fun.
Yep. Make sure that you guys tune in. Thanks for everyone who listened to this point. We'll be back soon with more conversations from Brazilian product professionals around the globe. And see you next time in Products Brazilian Way. Bye
See
bye.
you.